Oh, this bitch is so hot.
We'll start in a minute. All right. Okay. So I'm going to start. I hope you are enjoying the sunny weather lately. And if you celebrate Easter or Passover, I hope you had a little bit of time to enjoy holidays and outdoors. So first of all, the for chapter number 5. There was one question on Shirley card that was not finished, and two people emailed me about that. Thank you so much. I think I responded to one person, but not to Aurora. So what I've done is, well, first of all, I finished the question. Second of all, I went over, and if you got incorrect for that question, I gave you that half a point. So for some of you, you will see that you will have a slightly higher grade. If you got it, good. If you got it, then you got it. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. So today we are only preparing for the final assignment. And your final assignment has two parts. Part 1 is due on the 20th of April, so in 2 weeks. And part 2 is due, I believe, on the 30th of April or something like that. So you've got a little bit of time for that. I have two links for you in chat. The first one is to the actual prompt for the assignment, to the description of the assignment. I'm going to share my screen now and go to the same place. So you can either access it from there, from here, and I'm going to kind of go over it. So just as a reminder, the entire, all the documents related to that final assignment is in the module at the very end of all the modules, that the last one says final assignment. So, okay, so here I am. I'm going to, so this is the submission for the final assignment that is due on the 20th. All right. Questions, comments, anybody needs time to get there? No? All right. Okay. Okay. So two parts. Part number one.
Yeah, but it had to.
Part number one is to create an essay using only visuals. So, and I have a really kind of stringent set of criteria here. And I'm asking you to follow it to a T, really. That's the point here. So you're going to create it as a PowerPoint presentation, either in slides or in PowerPoint, and then you're going to email or submit it as either PDF or a PowerPoint file. So don't submit Google Slides, because if you don't have proper sharing turn on, then we cannot see it. Your submissions will be then used by other students to do their part too. So everybody has to see everyone's work. Okay. So for that, what you need to do is for part one, you have to create visual narrative. Your entire submission should be about 17 to 20 images. You can have one image per slide. You can have a couple images per slide. That's up to you. But it has to have about 20 or so images. You only allowed to use text on your first slide. So you have to have, on slide number 1, and it's right here, you will have your name, the title of your visual essay, and 1 or 2 sentences that kind of explain your argument, your thesis statement of your visual narrative. That's all. The rest of the images would be with no text. If your image itself contains text, if you say it's an image of an advertisement, that there is a text in advertisement, you have to either use a different image or erase, like kind of just redact the text. Okay, it's only images. So then you follow kind of the structure of an essay as you would write it. So after this first, you've explained your thesis statement, then you do an introduction. So slide 2 and 3, so a couple of images or maybe one image, whatever you want for introduction. So you say introduction, and then there are images, no text. And then you go into argument 1, argument 2, and argument 3. So you're kind of building your arguments based on your thesis statement. So what you would do in the essay, you do the same thing using visuals, and then finally, again, a few images for the conclusion, kind of to bring it all of that together. That is it. So 2 sentences, your name and a title, images the rest of the way, and then you submit it online, okay, on the 20th. Questions so far? Okay.
So like, can our just topics or our thesis really be about anything we want?
Well, they have to be related to the class material somehow,
Okay.
but in a very, very broad way. So anything that we've discussed, media, gaze, representation, anything like that would do. Okay, yeah, I just, the only thing is I don't want you to go and kind of think about material from a different class completely and do something like that. Okay, does that answer it, Danielle?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay, great. So that's number 1. Part number 1. Part number 2. Part number 2. So I'm going to part number 2 here, or final assignment. And for part number 2, sorry, it still says due December from last semester. I'll change that. It's due on April 30. Okay, so it's due on April 30th. You are going to take 3 visual essays by other students, not your own, someone else's. And you are going to kind of recreate these visual essays using words. So you're going to follow this template and essentially say, okay, so name of the person you're critiquing, the argument, so you can just cut and paste, and then you're going to kind of figure out what do you think the person is saying in the introduction? What do you think the person is saying in the argument? Each is in 1 or 2 sentences. So some of these are going to be easier than others. And let me just tell you right away that I'm going to be a lot more demanding for the part 1, where you are doing your own work, and then part 2 when you're recreating, because I'm a lot more forgiving here, because some essay may not be clear, and it's a lot of it is kind of interpretation. So this part, you just have to show me that you kind of thought about it and looked at that and kind of contemplated what could that be, right? So 3 different essays that you will have to do. All right, so that's that. Any questions now? Okay, so here I have two samples that had been done from the last semester. I think I showed them to you before. Both of them got an A. These are visual essays. They are very different and very good in different ways. So what I want you to do now, I'm going to stop sharing, so you know where to find these two sample essays. And I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to ask you to go to and look at the essays for about 5 minutes, kind of go over it. And then use this link here in the chat, the second link. That's a link to the Canvas chat. And chat it like right there your own idea for the thesis. Okay, so try to be as specific as possible, if possible, and just do that in the chat. The reason I'm doing it in the chat is the following. First of all, I can right away see your name and I can actually talk to you. B, we can do it now, but if you're listening to that to a recording on that, you can still do that. And Juliana and Rachel can help me, and they can also do the chat as well. So please do it. Don't email me. Do it in the chat of Canvas. I'm going to kind of let you do that for another maybe 10, 15 minutes. And I'm going to go to the chat, share my screen, and kind of start commenting on your work as we go. And once I'm done here, once we finish here, you are welcome to still submit it in the chat until maybe April 15 or so. And I'm happy to, one of us will be happy to take or to kind of to look at that and kind of say yes, no, think, maybe do be more specific, etc. Okay. Questions? Okay, so I'm going to stop talking. We're not stopping the session. I'm going to go to chat and wait for you to start typing. Okay. Olivia, I'm reading yours right now, and this is great. What I would do is I would then decide on the arguments, whether your arguments are going to be particular specific examples of the films. And if they are, maybe some find a way to indicating that in your thesis statement.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, Kate, I'm reading yours. Social media has exacerbated the panopticon-like surveillance of women's bodies through both the male and female gaze. So this is a great start, but this is an example of a very wide, kind of net-like almost thesis statement. And it may be a little bit difficult to create arguments that people can actually understand right away. So I would maybe concentrate on either female gaze or male gaze. I would kind of think about what your arguments are going to be like and why this idea of the panopticon and surveillance is important. So how are you going to concentrate on that? And I mean, this is great, and you can actually do that. I just want you to kind of to think more about specific examples. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I figured you didn't want us to be like too specific in the thesis, but like I'll probably cut out the female gaze and just do the male gaze. And like pretty much the argument I was gonna like focus on was like Instagram pictures, like particularly like women post ones of their bodies like voluntarily, which is interesting because in like a lot of panopticon scenarios, like the like jailers aren't like willing, if that makes sense, but they're like yeah, so it definitely will be difficult to like make that through pictures, but like I think it's interesting. So I'll do probably just through the male gaze and like show like graphics of, I don't know, Panopticon and Instagram and like other stuff.
Right. So what I would do is, first of all, insert the kind of the word Instagram in your thesis. If you're only concentrating on Instagram, which I think is a great idea. The other thing to think about, if when women post those pictures, are they posted for the male gaze, or are they looking for approval from other women?
Yeah, that's why I put both the male and female gaze, because I think that it kind of like doesn't matter. They like blend together more now, like through social media.
Okay.
So I could take out the gaze thing altogether too and just talk about.
I wouldn't right now. I would actually play with arguments and see where where it goes, and then based on that, maybe see if you want to take one or leave the other. I think once you have Instagram in there and you have like you kind of found different categories for different arguments, it's going to make more sense.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, Lindsay, I'm doing yours. In 2017, the Me Too movement began to spread media. Okay, so Lindsay, this is great. As an example, so you have the case studies and you also have kind of overall why you are doing that. So this is wonderful. The question that I have for you, which is a hard one, is why are we discussing that at this point? Because these people, I'm not sure about Larry Nassar, but Cosby and Weinstein were definitely already prosecuted, etc. So what would be the message? And it's a hard question, and you don't even have to deal with that necessarily if you don't want to. This is an excellent thesis, but just something to think about.
I was thinking maybe to talk about how long it took to prosecute them and how their power like kind of played into the fact that they were free and they were not prosecuted and people didn't step out to like talk about them for so long.
Right. Okay, that's great. So that would be an interesting thing to do in visuals, right? So would you be able to actually convey all that? And I think you can, but you just have to be very careful. And as you choose your visuals, kind of go back to your thesis to make sure that they communicate with each other.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. That's great. Okay, Ashley, modernity and how art started to change during the modern era is a very broad thing. So I would definitely recommend narrowing it down. What type of art, right? Which modernity? We talked about kind of different, like early classic, late, etc. What is the change? I mean, that's the most important part. So I would definitely kind of, I know you may not be ready to do it right now, but I would definitely that needs like real narrowing down. Okay. Okay, Tanner, as time has continued to process the contrast. Okay, Tanner. So I'm a little bit uncomfortable about you kind of thinking, jumping from art history to social media. I mean, it's not so much art history as a kind of recounting of historical events and showing pictures as just how they were used. Does that make sense?
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So then when you say social media has played a large role in and this spectatorship. So I would concentrate on the second part of the argument and not the first. I would kind of take that out and just work with the second part. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome. Marisa, the proliferation of Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. Okay. So Marisa, I know we talked about that and we discussed that. I'm not sure what you mean by modern Mona Lisa here. So be sure to explain that. And I also not sure adaptation of the Mona Lisa began subtle, like you just have to it's more, I think it's more of an issue of just editing that a little bit. But I know what you're trying to do, and I think it's great. And you're talking about parody and kind of our modern understanding of Mona Lisa. So that looks good.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Emily. Okay, so Emily, you've got 3 sentences, so we have to take one out, first of all. Second of all, no, you've got 4. Okay, so so what you doing is essentially you comparing, right, between, okay, showcase examples from the streets. So you mean street art?
Yeah, I meant like street art and like murals.
Okay, so you're looking at street art and art on social media, and that art on social media would be kind of not photographs of the murals or street art, but other things.
Yeah, just how the two were like differed based on like if the medium was like on a street versus if like the artist created it knowing that it would be posted on social media.
Okay. So this is your topic. That's it.
Okay.
They kind of the reaction. So you're going to keep reactions to Trump's presidency, and you're going to work with that kind of the last sentence that you have here.
Okay.
Okay, and the rest you're going to kind of get rid of a lot of it. But this is a great topic. So you're comparing, you have to have the 3 arguments. So think maybe there is another way, another type of art that you may want to use.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Aurora, the shift away from photographic realism and the incorporation of readily available photo editing services and immigrants' view of their bodies because of the lingering belief photos show reality. Okay, this is great. Just kind of decide on the time frame, Aurora, kind of where you're are you starting around when the invention of photography, or are you starting in the 20th century or somewhere? And I would then, once you decide on the time frame, I would actually incorporate that into your thesis statement.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Okay, Elizabeth, social media, Instagram in particular, distorts reality through filters and editing. Okay. So this is, it's true. And it is kind of, I'm a little bit hesitant because it doesn't really, from the thesis here, it doesn't have a lot of material that we learned. But I think when you start doing your arguments, it will. So I would possibly incorporate maybe like the idea of the gaze, female gaze or male gaze into that a little bit. And then I would run with that. That looks good.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. Okay, so I'm here. I see that people are typing, so I'm just waiting. Once you type, I can kind of refer to that, etc. If you have done with that, and in the next couple of minutes, what I would do is take a sample of the essay, one of them, and I would try to recreate, kind of do part 2, right? Recreate the essay. Once you do that, you can either email it to me or to Rachel or to Juliana, or you can cut and paste it in the chat here. So just a kind of as a, you don't have to do that, but this is a really good practice for you. So Emily, this topic is good. It needs, you have to either look at pandemic or like COVID-19, I assume, or war, like kind of use one, and then you can, yeah, that's fine as well. So whichever is you prefer, work with that. Just narrow it down.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I will stop sharing for a second and I will go to the chat, but not from a sharing screen. So this is your time to ask questions if you like. I don't see people typing, but I assume people will be working on that. Again, if you're listening to that when it's been recorded, or if you feel like you are not ready to post your thesis right now, please do that. You can do it until April 15th. We will periodically go over it and answer. Just post our comments right here in the chat. By the 15th you should have it, and then you should have that time to work on finding images and whatnot. Okay, do take a look at the samples. The samples are good essays. They're very different, and I think they are going to help you. Okay, so I'm going to again, I'm happy to answer your questions. I'm going to end this for everyone right now. Let me know if you have questions. Email me if you need to. I'm going to see you next week here on Monday as well. Do remember that the module 6 work is coming up very soon. I think it's the 9th, I think is the due date, or maybe the new one is the 12th. Double check, it is on Canvas. The correct due date is on Canvas. If you have questions on that, let us know. If you need help, or if you need us to take a look before you submit at one or more questions that you have for module 6, let us know. We're happy to do that. Okay, bye-bye.